Start all over. Good morning. Thank you for joining us for another edition of our weekly real estate backstory. We do this every Monday morning around 9 a.m. We try and start off the week with kind of news and information about the real estate market, kind of what we see coming and going, that kind of stuff to help prepare you better for the upcoming week. So my name is Alan Richardson. I'm the managing broker here at Maximum Realty and Realtor Partners.
My name is Richardson. I'm the compliance broker for Maximum One Realty and Realtor Partners. A mouthful this morning.
Yeah, we're both having a great time. So this week we kind of want to jump into something that's really pretty practical as far as like for our real estate world. And so that question is, can you talk to a real estate appraiser? And I'm still surprised by how many realtors think that they can't talk to a real estate appraiser or shouldn't talk to a real estate appraiser. And so we have to understand that there is a couple of different things that goes into like we're not trying to sway anyone or any appraisers or anything like that. But what we are trying to do is try and share information. And so there was a new study that came out, and they said, and it showed that nearly a third of realtors don't interact with appraisers at all, don't say anything. About 20% don't interact at all. Only 20% interact with an appraiser when there's an issue. That means 80% of realtors don't interact with an appraiser when there's an issue. That's absolutely staggering to me. And so, but some of it comes down to education on our part. Back in 2008, there was this great big pullback, and it was kind of like the appraisers were over there and the real estate communities over here, and everyone was worried about swaying values and that kind of stuff. And so there were a lot of protections put in place back then. But since then, it's kind of gone back into a more normal thing. And so, for us, like first of all, we're very, very proactive on any listings. And I recommend that you are very proactive about any kind of listings you have.
One of our agents, Shannon Kirk, is fabulous at it, just so you know. She always pulls a comp. She leaves a copy at the house for the appraiser. And if she also put her business card, said, please reach out to me if you have a difficulty with any comps, and I'll be able to assist you to see and show you where my value comes from. And so, when you have a difficult property, agents, this is great to be able to help the appraiser, because they can see what you pull and therefore can somewhat justify what they see as well.
Well, I mean, for the appraisers, it lets them know where we got that value, where we listed the property. So like that list price, it shows that list price was not just some random number we pulled out of our caboose. The other thing that we found really, really effective with that is sometimes we have market knowledge that an appraiser doesn't. We had a neighborhood where one side of the neighborhood backed to high power lines. Mm-hmm. And so there was two comps that could have been selected, but we highlighted those, but we pulled those comps and we wrote on there, do not use backs to high power lines, and put a little note in there. We've had other properties where like the basement of this property flooded and has no carpet in it. Don't use this comp. Like we sometimes have market information that appraisers don't. And the appraisers, generally speaking, I mean, appraisers like realtors, the vast majority of them are very, very good at what they do. And they're trying to do a really good job. So when we kind of share market information with them, when we share information that they may not have, appraisers like us cover large territories kind of thing, and they may not know all the nuances of a particular neighborhood that you might know. So please don't feel like you can't or shouldn't be communicating with appraisers. Now, I mean, the other thing is even if you do choose to share information, because just like some of our folks do, we would put that information out, and you'll find sometimes the appraisers take it and sometimes they don't. You can't force an appraiser either.
But you can help in a system why you think that this house in particular has more value. And it may be because of recent renovation. And you basically redid the whole wiring system, the whole plumbing, and where other homes are, builder standard package is 20 years or older. So those things make a difference.
Let the appraiser know when you have multiple offers. Only about 20% of the time do we let the appraiser know that we've had multiple offers. That shows the level of market activity on a property. If you have a signed backup offer on the property, it's another great thing to share with them. And another reason that we're very bullish about having backup offers on our properties, both for buyers and sellers.
And why did we start with this issue? That's because a lot of the sellers still think their house is increasing exponentially. So agent, when you pull comps, you just got to make sure that you can justify why you're going above what the market value in the neighborhood is. Okay?
Right. So we're actually in the market level off, but it's not going crazy.
It's not, the market's not depreciating.
Yeah.
It is not appreciating exponentially like
Yep.
it was.
Yep. All right. So now this past week we saw some different economic numbers come out. So the PPI, which actually stands for Producer Price Index, that's the price that producers pay in order to make the goods. And so there was a pretty healthy jump in the Producer Price Index. So things like gas, fuel, manufacturing, that means that the future for those items is not looking good. At the same time, the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, went up. And so we have our core inflation now at a 40-year high. And so, I think everyone's kind of been hoping for some hope on or for some relief on the inflation side.
Right.
And honestly, as weird as it sounds, inflation is the thing that's probably hurting the real estate market the most right now. And some folks are like, okay,
affordability.
Well,
I mean, at the end of the day, it's the same.
but you got to understand,
payment.
right? But the reason that core inflation is hurting the real estate market right now is that because what happens is inflation is the arch enemy of the bond market, and so the bond market reacts very, very poorly to high inflation. And so when inflation goes up, we see that so inflation goes up, bond prices go down. When bond prices go down, the bond yield or percentages go up. Now, one of those percentages that goes up along with the bonds is mortgage rates. So it's one of those things where the inflation is the thing that is truly, truly driving a lot of the challenges that we have in the real estate market right now. So getting a hold of inflation, even though it seems like this huge thing that's made up of so many parts, and it is, at the end of the day, though, this is what's causing so much angst, and that's what's really throwing buckets of cold water on the real estate market right now. So that we have to understand that the inflation is what's driving craziness in the bond market. And so bond prices go down, yields go up. One of those same yields that we match with is the 10-year treasury. And so as the 10-year treasury yield increases,
so does mortgage.
So does mortgage right now. And so with that, we saw that happen this past week.
6.92.
And we're even seeing some rates already come in at 7.25, that kind of stuff. Now we are seeing where we're seeing much more, actually it's kind of moving back old school here. Like back in the day, folks bought down rates. And so for agents that have only been in the business 3, 4, 5 years, you talk about buying down rates, and it's like there's this haze that goes across their eyes, and they're like, "What?"
But they don't understand.
And I'm not trying to be critical if you are.
Why you need to partner up with a good lender.
Absolutely,
a good lender can navigate your client to do what's best for your client. So one of the things that we taught last week in the sales meeting was that, hey, listing agent, buyers already know that 9 out of 10 they need to come up with a closing cost and a down payment. Why don't you offer to make your property more attractive to buy the buyer's rates down? So on the average, you're looking at anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000 buy down on the average. So
depends
that
on how
can
much
save, right, and that can save the buyer anywhere from $100 to $200 a month mortgage payment because the interest rate. So it just depends on what you're gonna do, but offer to buy down the rates.
Well, we're seeing more rates bought down. We're seeing where we're seeing a lot more offers are containing closing costs as well as being able to buy down. The sellers can buy down the rates for the buyers. That can be a concession that we put in. It still can't exceed the 3% for most loan products, but they can assist in that way to help make those kind of things. We're seeing where buying down rates is becoming much more of a normal thing again.
Absolutely.
And we're going to keep seeing that with these elevated mortgage rates. We're going to keep seeing where fees and points kind of thing start getting discounted a lot more so kind of thing. At the same time, because of these higher interest rates, we're seeing where right now mortgage applications are down about 39% from where they were a year ago. So this is, that whole inflation thing is truly impacting us right now. And to say it's not is it's a lie. That being said, it doesn't mean that the sky is falling either. Now, on the positive side of things, FHA now is including rental payments for first-time buyers. So
which is great.
It is, that's one of the things that especially for a lot of our FHA buyers, they would be renting a property and they have a really good rental history. And it's kind of like, well, we just don't know if, and so, they're paying $2,200 a month
in the past
historically every month,
equation,
and they couldn't use that. And it's like, well, I've never had a late payment paying $2,200 a month. I want to buy a house at $1,800 a month, and you won't give it to me. That makes no sense. And so we see the validity in that. Now, also at the same time, just so we're seeing where the percentages of FHA loan applications are up substantially. We're also seeing where the number of property and the number of contracts being accepted with FHA is up substantially right now. We're seeing a lot more FHA offers coming in. We're seeing a lot more FHA products being offered out in the marketplace, that kind of stuff. So, the days and for our sellers, listen, it's all cash at closing. So we need to make sure that we understand that, like, you're going to be seeing more FHA offers on your properties. The days of all cash, no disclosure, all
I
this
still
kind of stuff.
see a couple of ribbons coming through. But once again, buyers, unless it's just a really hot
there's still good properties. Don't get me wrong. I mean,
I would recommend you try to save some of the money, and if it's not a hot property, and move forward.
Now, one thing that we do need to assist our clients with is that there was this report which came out which talked about the credit reporting errors are way up, right? And so it's pretty much the number of errors and the complaints have doubled from in just the last 3 years. It is up substantially. And so inaccurate information is the thing that is the biggest one out there. But then what we for our clients, like to go from a 750 to a 650, that's a big jump in their credit score. That's going to have drastic impact on what those interest rates that they can apply for. So anytime we have clients or friends that are interested in, they need to speak to a lender right away. They need to get a copy of their credit report. They need to check over that thing and try and make sure that any errors are removed, any inaccuracies are taken out, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and once you dispute it, the credit bureau has, I believe, 30 days to basically respond.
You got to stay on top of them, though.
But anyway,
they're dropping the ball.
By law, they have to either dismiss that dispute if they don't respond or could not get a response from the creditor.
Yeah. All right. Google Trends on the search term homes for sale is down about 35%.
That's huge.
That's a pretty substantial amount right now. So so we're seeing a drop in demand is really what we're seeing. I mean, supply is down too, but demand is down even more. And so here you can see this is what's up with showing time right now. And so you can see this has the last 2.5 years of actual showing data, and you can kind of see where we've been trending under last year, and we still are. But right now, last year was was up still about 7%. Year before was up 25%. Now we're down about 25%. So right now, total number of showings nationwide per showing time is showing us down almost 25%. So there's no way that like the idea of, hey, there's nothing going on in the market. That's not real either, right? We're seeing some actual activity happening, But it doesn't mean that this is the end of the world by
Correct,
the same token.
correct.
So CoreLogic, who's one of the biggest data aggregators, they run the back end for
Mhm.
a lot of our MLSs. And so they've got pretty good information, needless to say. And so they're looking at year on year, 2022 coming in at about 13.5% property value appreciation. And they're looking, and they've adjusted their forecast last year to for next year to 3.2%.
Yeah, so that's a huge reduction appreciation, but it doesn't
But it's
mean
normal.
it's not normal or the house is falling, say,
Right.
of the
I mean,
price.
like annual property appreciation for real estate for the last 50 years is 4.4%. And it's time for us to get back into the normal range. Double
Correct.
digit property value growth is not
Not
normal.
feasible.
So just because you see, because our rate of appreciation is slowing does not mean that we're going in depreciation either. And so, this is how that's going to kind of look where this is kind of their projection for the this year moving into next year, where we're moving back into a much more balanced market where our property value appreciation moves back into the range of normal or standard. Now, Georgia does come in at number 7 on the top 10 states that has had positive property value appreciation. Georgia is in a really good place for a lot of different reasons. We have a really substantial positive inflow of people coming in from out of state. We have a lot of federal jobs. We have low unemployment. There's just a
The
lot of
movie
really good things.
studio
There's a lot of
is
things going
growing,
on.
so
Now, if you look at who are the top markets at risk of a home price decline, it's not Georgia. Okay. There are some markets, and see, these are the markets that are going to take up a lot of news and like markets are dropping, property values dropping, da da da. Are there going to be markets like that? Yes. Do we see any of them here? No, we don't. So we need to understand that even though we talk about a lot of real estate national data, real estate's very, very local still. And even in with that, we may have a market here or there that sees a decline. We're going to have other markets that still continue to carry double-digit price growth. So as it kind of goes forward. Now, as far as the rest of the numbers go, so these are some annual numbers, and so the median asking price is still up about 8.5% year over year right now. And again, this is on national data. However, the median sale price is only up 6.9. So you can still see that there's a little bit of a price disparity there between what we're listing for. Somewhere in the 2.5% range is where that really works out. Now, FMLS, which has a lot of Georgia in it, is overall showing the average sales price is up about 11.5%. So, and that's kind of that's pretty consistent with what we've seen, actually a little bit on the soft side. Whereas, we also pulled up the data for just the Atlanta metro area. And so right now, median sale price in Atlanta is up 14%. So while we are seeing softening, maybe nationwide, or when I say softening, leveling off,
right.
Rate of appreciation more normal. Georgia is still in a really good, or in Atlanta in particular, is in a really good position right now. We're still seeing strong property value growth year over year. And the reason we bring this up is because for most of your friends, consumers, clients, that's the number that makes sense. Is my home worth more this year than it was last year? Is my home worth less this year than last year? For the average consumer out there, that's how they rate the real estate market. Pending sales are down about 28% year over year. That's nationally. Now here in Georgia, or I'm sorry, in the Atlanta area, pending sales are down around 33%. So fairly close within the margin of error on there. Somewhere between 28 and 30% is kind of what we're seeing nationwide. And we're seeing where our pending sales are down for here in Georgia also right now. New listings for homes, however, is also down 20%.
So that's huge.
So, it's one of those things where, we have demand down of about 30%, but we have supply down of around 20%. So that being said, we are starting to see a slight uptick in inventory, but not nearly as much. So like what we're seeing is good properties are coming off the market quickly.
Right.
So if they're priced right in a good area, well maintained, good pride of ownership, that kind of stuff, they're selling quickly. All right, right now our active listing for homes is up about 3% year over year. So even though demand is down, active listings you would figure would be going up much higher, but they're not, right? And so overall national inventory deficit for the entire US, we're down 44%. And so, we're short about 600,000 listings right now as a nation right now. And a lot of that's because a lot of our sellers are just not incentivized to sell. Like I'm sitting on a 3 or
And
4% mortgage rate.
Right. And so the couple things that we did discuss during our sales meeting was that if you have a client that has a phenomenal interest rate when they refi, you may want to look at a loan assumption, and also, and I know the current mortgage lender will not be beneficial to it, but at the same time, talk to them and see if they can take a second. So it will be first and second. So see how that works.
Now, overall months of supply available on the market. Now, this is national numbers, and it comes in at 2.9 months. Now, we need 6 months of inventory to have a balanced market. We're lower here in Georgia, but we're sitting around 2.2, something like that. But nationally, we're almost up to 3 months of standing inventory, which is still too low, right? So we're not at a balanced market. But that balance is coming at different price points. So like anything, and especially if you're in the burbs, anything under 250, 300, it's still a heavy seller's market, especially for good properties. For anything the greater the inventory moves up.
Anything above 325 right now, it's kind of
it's getting more balanced. It's getting a lot more balanced. It really is.
And what's the property size, value, and condition.
So still 35% of homes are go under contract within 2 weeks. It's a good benchmark. You can see that's still really good. And a quarter of those homes are under contract within a week. We wanted to highlight the fact that good properties are still moving. Okay, that's the big kicker here. We don't have enough of them coming on, but don't think just because interest rates are because we got inflation and high interest rates that real estate's not happening. What we don't want you to do is get this idea that, real estate's bad, I'm just going to back out of this market. That's not what this is. Okay, we still have a lot of transactions going on, a lot of things happening in our markets. So right now, 7.9% of our listings have price drops. And so what we're seeing are those folks who threw it out there at a price that they just thought or hoped that they could. One thing we talked about with so many, we're seeing in neighborhoods where it's like tornado, like a tornado goes through, right? Like 3 houses are on the market all of a sudden, and then one jumps on the market and it flies off like a tornado just went through and wiped that one house off, and then the others just sit there. And it's because we're going back to the basics here: price, condition, staging. Is the house properly marketed? Is it staged? Are we doing a good job as listing agents? The idea of just
professional
shoving it up there,
all that good stuff. So if you think you can get by with just a quick iPhone pictures, only 1 or 2, I will tell you that's not going to attract buyers to
that dog won't hunt. All right. So Zillow research released some information, and it says one of the first ones which kind of backs up what we're saying, and that is metros in the South and the Midwest are least likely to see price declines over the next year. We're in the same boat. We see Georgia sitting very, very solidly. Vacation markets are most likely to see price declines. We're already seeing that. Lakefront properties, mountain properties, some of that kind of stuff. Some of the VRBO things, beaches, that kind of thing. Some of those have been are some of the big.
Destin was one of the most reduced. It was most inflated.
And then the parts that got hit by the hurricane, I'm sure it's just being fun. All right.
I do feel sorry for them. It's huge.
Okay. Maybe it was too soon to joke. Okay. So one other thing is that, they polled a lot of different experts asking when is the market going to shift in favor of buyers, and so about 44% feel that it will be by the end. So basically January 2024 is when a lot of them think that this market is, and we are seeing a shift more towards balance. unless we see a substantial rise in inventory, which I don't see happening. I don't see how we can really expect a huge shift there. But we are seeing a gradual turn of events where we're going to see the market continuing to stabilize.
Well, I do
Um,
feel like with the builder pulling permit for multifamily,
mhm.
that's gonna make an impact probably within next year. And so,
But the good news is that, at some point, inflation is going to get back under control. And then we're going to start seeing those
fingers
interest
crossed.
rates drop. And when those interest rates drop, there's a ton of pent up demand right now. I mean, right now, our first time home buyer percentage is running at around 30%. Historically, it's around 40%. And we have a huge millennial generation that's all reaching first time age over the next
And
4
they
years.
wanna buy, but
And they
right
want.
now, they just unable to. So
So, I mean,
you guys talk to your lender about DPA
Yep.
program, down payment assistance,
Anything
and
we can do to help.
also any like the Beltline, Atlanta Invest, Georgia Dream, Chenoa, all those programs are out there to help the buyers.
So another study survey thing came out. This one came out from Redfin saying, 2/3 of home buyers and sellers are hesitant to move somewhere with climate risk. Now, Georgia doesn't have a ton of climate risk. I mean, there is always some anywhere kind of thing. But things like Florida, places heavy hurricanes, heavy earthquakes, that kind of stuff. Younger generations, high earners, and Democrats are most likely to consider climate risk when thinking about relocating. Not that that matters, it just is what it is. Now we want to kind of wrap up something kind of in what states is the most likely to sell a haunted house. Now, before we get into the silly and the fun part of this, are we required to disclose a haunted house? And the answer is no. I mean, like first of all, how do you really know it's haunted? I mean, we walked in the house one time with a client. They're like, "There's a presence here." Okay, I didn't feel any presence.
You can't stigmatize a house.
Yeah.
So that's why we don't disclose, because we don't know that for a fact.
Yeah. So, right now they say the national average is 13% of houses across the US are haunted. I'm not sure what really classifies that as haunted house. Now, if it makes you feel any better, we're tied, or I'm sorry, we're number 5 on the least creepiest state in the nation. So we're in really good shape. They say that only about 0.9% is a chance that you can end up buying a haunted house, which is now, and honestly, what they're calling creepy homes are homes with crime, death, homicide, damage, drug, paranormal, or sketchy reports. So, I just thought that was kind of funny. We're heading into the Halloween time of the year and that kind of stuff. So, for all your Max One gear, please go to max1market.com. And then on training this week, we have on Wednesday and Thursday, we're going to be teaching contracts, offer, and acceptance, which is our RE forms. We're going to be doing RE forms in our Conyers office. And then on Thursday, we're going to be doing GAR forms in our Carrollton, West Georgia office. And so these are just going to be, both of these classes are where we just go through real life scenarios, what's going on, and we pull the whole thing up. And then we go through the purchase, sale, buyer brokerage, listing agreement, and then, loan docs and that kind of thing.
And we will point out some of the difference between GAR and RE. So, if you're a news agent, I know it's a huge difference in distance and drive, but I promise you, it'll be worth your time. We offer these classes to agents in the community, just so we can educate the public. So please do come
out and get your stuff on. So thanks, y'all. If we can be of any kind of service, please call, text,
really
smoke
quick,
signal.
tomorrow Woodworth is doing a live KV core training in airport office. So please, if you wouldn't mind, call our main office if you want to register. And we're expecting a good turnout, as KV Core is a very powerful CRM for you to grow your business.
This is just all we're focusing on is the basics, the important things that we gotta get going.
You gotta get the basic before you can run. So.
All right, y'all have a great week. If we need any service, call, text, smoke signals.
Thank you. Have a great day.